Welcome to Comics League Live. I'm Jared, and I'm here with my brother Nick from Phoenix Press. What's up, brother?
What's up, my friend? So, Comic-Con is here. We didn't get exactly what we wanted, but honestly, I'll take what we got.
We got some good indications, is what I'm going to say as a SnyderVerse fan. But for right now, we'll talk about the SnyderVerse stuff later. But first, I want to talk about that Shazam trailer, because that looks glorious.
It looks really good. The only thing that concerned me is they're dropping it January 5th.
Okay, yeah. It's kind of early.
No. That is a huge red flag, because like January is when Hollywood jumps their garbage.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's universally known as January is like the junk month, because like it's after the Oscars have been announced, you know, the award nominees and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, February used to be kind of bad, but like February's kind of starting to pick up. Like, thank you, Deadpool, thank you, Black Panther. But like January is still kind of like the dumping month.
I did not know that. That is very interesting. So
the fact that they're dumping it like right after Christmas, to me, is a huge red flag. But that being said, looking at the trailer, I did like it.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, and it's. I will say I did like. By the way, I mean, I liked. By the way, there was some important parts of this trailer. Whenever they show a Justice League member, they're using footage from Zack Snyder's Justice League in this trailer.
Specifically, Snyder cut footage.
Yeah, specifically. So what that's indicating to me is, wait, did they do a switcheroo and make it so the Snyder cut is the canon Justice League? In that case, I'm fine with that, bros.
In my opinion, I think at this point it's clear that they may not specifically be, at the very least, this is like worst case scenario. They aren't specifically using Snyder cut as canon, but like it's nebulous kind of canon. Like, these characters exist, the Snyder cut happened, but they might not be using him going forward. You know, I think that much is clear.
Yeah, they might not be necessarily going to like JL 2 and 3, but they're making it so his Justice League movie is canon. Because let's be honest, it's pretty obvious at this point which version of Justice League the fans prefer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I just want to say this about the Shazam trailer. Probably one of my favorite parts is when he's talking to Helen Mirren's character,
and he brings up Fast and the Furious.
When she is like she's one of the characters. She has a part, like she's one to have a recurring role in the series. It's like,
yeah, and he's talking about family. That's your cue. That was so
I
good.
can just imagine Helen Mirren in her head when she was like mentally rolling her eyes, like, oh dear God, I gotta go through this again.
Yeah, as soon as I love how as soon as he mentions Fast and the Furious, the camera just goes on her face, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing there.
Also, can we just like talk about a second where you have two gods, you know, Shazam and, you know, Helen Mirren's character, literally just getting fast food and sitting out in the open, talking up like they're discussing the world diabolical plans while having a crappy burger. It's just that is so on brand for Shazam. I love it.
Yeah, I was about to say that is so Shazam. Like, so Shazam.
Also,
dug it.
I don't think the parents know what they do. I think.
Oh no. I never thought the parents knew the.
I have a feeling they might find out in this movie, but like, oh my God, that one was going to be so funny.
That would be so good if they find out all their kids are superheroes.
Like,
and I love.
I can just imagine. So that's why I've been patching all those holes in the roofs.
Yeah, and I love where he's getting like help from a shrink. But it's not a shrink, it's a pediatrician. You see he's got like dolls and everything in his office. And then it's kind of like in Thor Ragnarok when Thor is explaining the whole story. And then Banner goes, I'm not that type of doctor. That was so good. Oh, man, I loved it. Yeah. That's a DC movie I'm genuinely excited for because I think that's going to be really fun.
Yeah, and like even Shazam 1 was very adamant that it took place in the SnyderVerse. So,
oh yeah, very. It couldn't have made it more obvious with the newspaper referencing Man of Steel and the Batarang.
and the symbols, like all the T-shirts they were wearing were the Snyder symbols. So
Yeah, of course. Well, of course, because even in canon, they're like, okay, Snyder's version is better. But so let's talk about an interesting thing came out of this. Speaking of Snyder, so he's gonna voice himself in an episode of Teen Titans Go.
Oh, that is so perfect.
Now, what that indicates to me, that's a positive. I just want to say, I know a lot of SnyderVerse fans were disappointed that we didn't get like a straight up announcement. We're restoring the SnyderVerse, but this is actually a pointing in a good direction, because at least that he's in communication with Warner Brothers and that they have good enough relations that he's working with them.
Is that Tom and Jerry thing actually happening, or was that just like a troll job?
That was a troll job.
Well done, Zack Snyder. I gotta say.
The story of the episode apparently is that the Teen Titans want to make a movie about themselves, but they need a director, so they go to Zack Snyder. In the background, he's got like a 300 poster. He's got Batman versus Superman. I wonder if they're gonna like have reference Justice League. That'd be hilarious.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. Like honestly, I think you'll really be able to tell how WB feels about Zack Snyder. I mean, obviously they're not going to trash Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder wouldn't be a part of this if it was just like, making fun of him. I mean, poking fun, but not making fun.
In other words, it wouldn't be a hit job on him because he wouldn't have showed up for it.
Zack Snyder will be in on the joke is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, yeah, because Zack Snyder has been in on the jokes on like a lot of his stuff. Like even that Tom and Jerry thing. He's like, I'm looking forward to bringing my dark style to Tom and Jerry. And I'm like, even he can go off about that. But so we got that. And that honestly was one of the coolest announcements there. We also got an announcement that in terms of comic book news, they are doing another Batman Spawn comic drawn by Greg Capullo.
Who's writing it this time?
I think it's Todd. I think it's Todd.
I mean, Todd has written Spawn for.
I'm getting this book, bro. I'm getting this book.
What I really like about it is Capullo was a Spawn artist before.
Yeah, I have an omnibus with him.
So he knows how to draw Spawn really well, and obviously he did that legendary Batman run a few years back. So it's
with
like
Scott Snyder,
perfect. Yeah, it's perfect.
Dream team, brother, dream team. And
the only thing better is if you would have had Frank Miller back.
That's true. Hey, Sean Franklin, and by the way, I love your profile picture. That's one of my favorite stills from the movie. Check that out, Nick. I was just watching the Ultimate Edition of BVS before I got on here. So we're talking about San Diego Comic-Con. Drop in the comments what you guys thought of it. It's not bad news for SnyderVerse fans because the very fact that Snyder's involved in a Warner Brothers project. So just go with that. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Marvel stuff and then we'll get back to DC, or do you want to?
You're gonna have to refresh me on the Marvel stuff. I wasn't really.
Well, they showed some like stuff for the X-Men animated, the new X-Men animated.
It looks bad. Like
I don't like the Magneto.
I mean, apparently, I guess the way X-Men left off back in the 90s was like he was leading the team, and if that was the costume that he wore at the time, I'm not going to hate it too much because they're just using the costume from before.
I have to look at it. I'll be impressed if that's the costume because I'm like, at least you're respecting that.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like the character designs, I mean, they seem fine, but it just, I don't know, just something kind of feels like off, kind of like a pseudo Uncanny Valley thing. Like, I mean, I'll give it a chance, honestly, because like X-Men was like one of my favorite cartoons.
That's the greatest animated cartoon short of Justice League.
The big thing that I'm wondering is Ron Wasserman involved?
Mm-hmm.
I really, I should ask him.
You have his contact number. Just text him up. Hey, are you involved?
I can message him right now.
No, that would be great. The exclusive scoop on Comics League. But so yeah, I'll give it a shot. We also have some visuals from the Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man show, which looks pretty good, honestly. That's apparently canon to the MCU. It's going to be Spider-Man's early days.
Is it
freshman year?
So before he became Spider-Man?
No, before Iron Man showed up in Civil War.
Oh yeah, because like he was Spider-Man already. When okay,
You think?
I think it was like he was about Spider-Man for about a year before
Yeah.
Tony showed up. So
it could start with him just getting bitten by the spider. So that'll be really cool. So Sean Franklin asks, you think a Rocksteady game makes Superman and Batman an Arkham sequel, Shazam, and Justice video games? Well, they are making an Arkham Knight sequel, and that's the Justice League versus the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game, which I'm so hyped for. So that is going to be an Arkham sequel. In terms of making a Superman game, first off, if there's any company I want to make a Superman game, it's Rocksteady, because they've demonstrated with the Batman franchise they can make really badass superhero games. The problem with
I'm pretty confident about the Wolverine game because that's being done by Insomniac themselves.
Yeah, they did Spider-Man. Yeah.
So like I'm confident that the Wolverine game will probably be pretty good.
What people always forget, by the way, is that we've had a Superman game before. They made a Superman Returns game, and
there's been a ton of them.
And what's actually really cool about this game is that, yes, Superman himself was invulnerable, but your health gauge was the city. So you actually had to protect the city.
Okay, so if they ever do another Superman game, they have to have a dream sequence where he's flying through rings.
Oh, God. That's the beginning to make you... That's the training section to make you think you're playing another Superman on Nintendo 64.
Yeah. Like you want to like seriously, I just want them to reference it and just be like, hey, you remember this, and then you're flying through it with actual good controls. Like I just
that'd be great. In terms of a Shazam game, that actually is a great idea. I can't believe no one's ever done that before. A Shazam game. You could do a good Shazam game.
And I need to look this up because, like, I feel like there may have been.
As for a Justice League game, they have kind of had those in the past. Like, they had Justice League Heroes, which was basically a more watered-down version of Marvel Ultimate Alliance. But I think we are overdue for, like, a really badass Justice League game. I do know we're getting a Wonder Woman game, and I am so hyped for that.
Well, as far as Justice League games, the Injustice games do kind of fill that niche a little bit. Yeah,
it's kind of... I consider Injustice like the hey, what's up, Truth? Man, the Henry Cavill appearance blew the roof off of San Diego Comic-Con. I know. But here's the thing, Truth, and you can quote me on this. It's actually good that Snyder is actually going to be voicing himself. He's not going to be like a background character in a Teen Titans Go episode. I know that sounds minor, but the very fact that he's working with Warner Brothers again.
Oh, I just realized this. Also the fact that they announced it at Comic-Con. Like, it's such a big deal that they announced it at Comic-Con that it's happening. Like, they could have just put out a press, like it's such a big event, big deal, that they're announcing it at Comic-Con. Like, that.
I think what they're doing is, and when Jim Lee said there's no plans right now to do the SnyderVerse, well, of course not, because guess what? Snyder has to do his exclusive Netflix deal. Nothing is going to happen until he fulfills his Netflix obligation.
Also, Jim Lee's on the comic side of things, so it's like, I'm sure he gets some information, but I don't think he's like privy to like the beating pulse of what goes on the movie side.
Plus, let's assume that he was right, that there are no plans. Remember when they said there were no plans to release the Snyder Cut on HBO Max?
The Snyder Cut doesn't exist. It'll take too long to make. Oh, you'll never do it.
Yeah, and we got that. So that's why I'm like, it's not that bad. Hey, what is up, Tevia? How you doing, my brother? And he goes, yes, that's cool. It's a good sign they use SnyderVerse footage. Have you noticed that since the Snyder Cut came out, they've completely ignored Justice League in terms of marketing material? Rightly so.
I mean, to be fair, they want to use the good footage, and all the good footage is in the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, I know. What that's interesting, Truth, and we kind of talked about that, is that it looks like what they've done is they basically said, okay, in these movies, it's general enough that we could just switch the Justice League movies and just say that's canon. Because in Shazam, if somehow he like makes a reference to the Flash going back in time or something like that, or he goes, okay, so we got to do that could run so fast it went back in time, then you know 100% sure that it is the Snyder Cut, because he only did that in the Snyder Cut.
Well, the Flash footage they used was from that scene.
Yeah, that too. The Batman footage, the Aquaman stuff was from Aquaman, which ostensibly is the SnyderVerse canon. You can consider it SnyderVerse canon because, again, it's general.
Mira mentioned Steppenwolf. She directly referenced events of Justice League. Thus, it is canon.
Yeah, but what I mean is compared to, because remember in the Whedon cut they still fought Steppenwolf, so you could take it either way.
Well, Justice League is canon at least.
Yeah, at least well, of course Justice League is canon.
One of the two.
Since it's general enough, I like to consider the good version of Justice League as the canon version.
You mean the only version?
Yeah, exactly. By the way, Truth, if you want to hop on the stream, drop me a DM on Twitter and I'll send you the link. That'll be fun. So, going on. So, do you want to talk about the Black Adam trailer now?
I haven't seen the new one yet. I've seen some of the old ones, and it looks good. It looks.
She just didn't have a British accent too. You know what? I'm willing to ignore that incongruity because you know what? In comic books, stuff like that changes all the time. They change voice actors in animated cartoons. You know what? I'll ignore that. We can say that she was trying to sound regal for the Atlanteans. The point is, that's such a minor detail that it doesn't really affect me. Okay. But by the way, when they replace her with Emilia Clarke, she will have a British accent in any version.
I cannot wait for that announcement. I cannot wait.
That would be so good. No, she walks on stage at the panel at like a comic panel for the next Aquaman movie. She walks on stage. Oh, look, it's Jason. It's your old friend. I
still think we're just gonna get like some video either on Emilia Clarke's like Instagram or Jason Momoa. It's like where it's like they're just hanging out and it's like, oh, Jason Momoa and Emilia Clarke. Okay, they're hanging out. Okay, that's cool. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, we got some reading material and it's Aquaman.
Yeah. It's kind of like
she was just reading her Emilia was showing me her latest script and she pulls it up and it's Aquaman 2.
Yeah, it's kind of like because Amber Heard did a post like that like years and years and years ago when Aquaman 1 was in development, where it's like where she was reading an Aquaman comic and she goes, catching up on my reading. So I'm like, I could totally see that happening.
I mean, lots of people do that. Like Brie Larson did it. I know after they finished filming Doctor Strange, he went into a comic shop as Doctor Strange in New York.
That has got to be so cool.
There. And they took a picture of him wearing, holding up Doctor Strange: The Oath, which I think with like what the movie was loosely based on or something.
Mm-hmm. So, how about that Black Adam trailer, which I liked? I thought it was a better trailer than the first one, and we got a little more of an indication on like what's going on in the movie. A little bit more. I did like. We got to see a little more of like Dr. Fate and the Justice Society, and I was like, oh, this is dope.
You know what? I have an idea. How about I pull up the trailer right now? I'm not going to share it, but I'm just going to watch it and do a live reaction.
Well, what we could do is we could share it and just mute it. Because I think the way YouTube works, because I did this before, is it's fine as long as there's no sound.
Oh, okay. So I'll do it on my end because I'll still have the sound happening and whatnot.
Yeah, just do it on your, and then don't share the stuff for your thing. So, Black Adam looks dope. And by the way, Nick, do you want to tell the audience about what Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson said when referenced about Batman and Superman?
He was very coy about it. Like his wrestling career definitely helped him with this one. He gave kind of a non-answer, honestly, but he did the important thing he said, the right Superman. Like he made and he's like, and then like that was kind of the last, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Like he was very deliberate with what he said. And then
in a later interview, like 5 minutes later, he did say how much he loves Henry Cavill's Superman, which indicates to me
he said it without saying it.
He considers Henry Cavill the right Superman, which I think we can all agree he is the right Superman. So there you go.
I'm gonna start this. So I'm not sharing my sound, but I'll do a live reaction to it. This is the first time I've seen this version of the trailer.
Okay.
So you guys are getting a live reaction from me.
Mm-hmm. And I've already seen it before.
Okay.
That looks really cool. I like that. Okay, so his son his son is killed, and that's how he got his powers. That's cool.
Alright.
And then to F
Oh, that's an Iron Man shot. That is so Iron
that
Man.
is so Iron Man.
Ooh!
Dr. Fate, baby! And then so yeah,
Oh,
look
wow,
at
that's
that.
good.
That looks gorgeous. Look, he's multiplying himself. There's Atom Smasher. This looks really good.
Visually, it does.
Visually looks great. Yeah, of course. The damaged helmet. That looks so cool. And so Black Marvel just announced Daredevil Born Again. Hell yes!
Oh, Hawkman.
Nick, look at the chat I just highlighted.
I saw that, but like I got words about that.
So Daredevil Born Again.
That was season 3. They already did the Daredevil season 3, and that the season. See, that's why I didn't want to comment on it because I got words. Season 3 of Daredevil, they used the Born Again storyline. But like
Really?
literally, that was season 3 where he's in the we're like because season 3 his Born Again storyline is where he's in the nunnery and you got the nun who turns out to be his mother and there's a covering from an injury and that's season 3 of Daredevil. So it's like season 3 of Daredevil was Born Again. I'm sorry, I'm a Daredevil fan, so it's like. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess, but well, at least it's Charlie Cox.
They did Born Again. They did Born Again storyline again already. So like,
I guess they're considering it a good place to like start off for this new version of Daredevil if the show's
doing
not
the
canon.
same story they did last season. Technically,
That's a good
it's been
point.
a few years, but because they're probably gonna put the Netflix series onto Disney Plus.
They already did.
Okay, so it's like you watch 1, 2, and 3, and then you go to season 4, and you're like, wait,
season 3. But is that season 4 though, or is it another show that's just a continuation of the thing? It may not be a season 4.
Well, that's just kind of getting into semantics, honestly, because like,
I guess
it's like you're continuing it, but you're not doing seasons, so it's like not a direct continuation. It's just so wishy-washy. I don't even want to speculate on it.
So there's another thing that I really wanna bring up is so yesterday.
But final thoughts on Black Adam. It looks good. I'm probably gonna go see it.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna go see that. So another thing that I wanted to show off. Let me see. I think the Born Again title is just meant to represent a new chapter and tone for the show.
I would like to say that, but like the thing is, Born Again is literally the title of one of his most iconic storylines. And, Marvel had to be cognizant of that. Because Born Again is not, like, it's... I feel like Marvel would have to be really incompetent to not realize that they're referencing one of the most iconic Daredevil storylines. Now, I'm like... I don't know.
Okay, so here's some more stuff that's been announced. Marvel Zombies. That's going to be gory. So they're actually going to do Marvel Zombies and make it like they're actually going to go full Marvel Zombies.
Is it like live action animated?
I think it's animated.
Well, they better have a higher animation budget than What If, because like What If looked bad. Like that show looked very bad.
On that note, What If season 2?
What if had a bigger budget?
It probably will now because they just established after What If their own like animation studio for the MCU. So it is possible.
I really hope that instead of half an hour episodes, they go to full hour because those storylines were really cramped by the half-hour storytelling.
And they were good storylines, and I didn't want them to end.
And they were so truncated. I really feel like an hour would give these stories more room to breathe. Because like
probably,
I don't know. I'm kind of like mid on What If. Like some of it was cool, like the last Black Panther. His T'Challa's last voice performance that kind of got me in the gut. It was a bit, wish fulfillment-y, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with that.
I did like the Captain Carter episode. I will say
that was dope.
I like that. Steve got like an Iron Man armor.
That was so good.
Cool.
My favorite episode is either T'Challa becomes Star-Lord, or the one where what is it? It's the one where I'm trying to remember. I had it on the back of my head real quick. Oh, any opinion on Spider-Man for freshman year? That looks actually really cool, and I like how they're bringing Norman Osborn. So we're gonna have an MCU Norman Osborn finally.
Who's voicing him? That's what I'm curious about.
That's a good question. And we're gonna have like lots of different villains and characters, and it's gonna be.
What if they got William Dafoe to voice him?
No. What if they got Jesse Eisenberg?
Well, because you see, I love bringing people together.
Yeah,
I do crack.
It's the Green Goblin.
Okay, that actually hurt my ears.
Yeah. Well, consider that payback for your Joker laugh. But
you asked me to do it.
I know. So we got also I Am Groot, which I'm like, okay. It seems like basically.
I honestly, I got no. May not be for me, but sure, whatever.
So in terms of Cavill showing up in Shazam, he could.
I think he has I give it a 70 to 80% chance that he shows up in Black Adam. Not just because The Rock's been talking about wanting to throw down Henry Cavill, because The Rock has had a man crush on Henry Cavill for some time.
Oh yeah.
And I given the fact that The Rock said they're very capable in terms of power, I don't think one is going to beat the other. I think what The Rock wants is he wants a fight, but he wants it to a standstill because I think even The Rock knows that you don't upstage Superman, but if Black Adam can be at his level or right below it,
I think what they'll do. I think they'll actually fight, and then eventually they'll just stop and decide. You know what? We're both equally matched or something. It'll be a gesture of mutual respect.
It'll be like this. Are we really gonna do this all day? You know what? We're both pretty comparable. Let's just go face that squid thing.
And then in terms of Shazam, it's possible that he actually shows up in Shazam, I think. Instead of from the neck down. Which, by the way, the only reason why that happened is because he was filming the Witcher and actually schedulally couldn't show up for that.
Imagine if Henry Cavill did show up in that scene.
That would be so good.
Oh, so if Superman
and he goes, "I'm back."
So Superman does show up in Shazam. I think what it might be is just one scene where you see Shazam fly off, and all of a sudden he flies past the Daily Planet where it shows he's in the Metropolis, and then he goes and talks to Superman for a scene. Where they're kind of they're standing on a rooftop and they're talking, and Henry Cavill's kind of mentoring him because at this point they've proven they know each other.
And what could happen is that the post-credit scene could be him showing up at the Hall of Justice. Being recruited into the league. No.
Even better, all 5 of them show up the Hall of Justice.
Oh, that would be great.
He says, "Hey guys, come with me. We got to go somewhere." And they go somewhere. It's a Hall of Justice. They land there. You see Henry Cavill, and then Batman stands up. And then Gal Gadot.
But it's actually Ben Affleck. Can you imagine if it's Ben Affleck Batman?
And then Gal Gadot stands up, and it's
It'll be a bigger, what if Ray Fisher stands up?
I mean, honestly, I really hope Ray Fisher, still gets jobs at Warner Brothers, because, I want to have him show up as Cyborg.
I want a Cyborg movie. That's what I want. But, so in terms of, we talk Shazam, Fear of the Gods. I'm trying to find
Also, Pierce Brosnan is still perfect casting.
Oh yes.
For I'm sorry, his name kind of escapes me right now. The character's name.
Dr. Fate.
He's perfect casting for Dr. Fate. So perfect. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's so good. So what I'm trying to find is that DC also announced a bunch of new animated films that are coming out. One of which is a Justice League movie that I wanted to bring up. So I'm trying to find the list that was
Yeah,
What?
yeah, Warner Brothers actually has a very robust like direct-to-video animated division.
Of course, and they've got like a lot coming out. So we got So here's Phase 5. Oh, so here's Phase 5. So we got, and by the way, we're pivoting back to the MCU because I just found the visual. So we got Quantum Mania, Secret Invasion.
Wait, Phase 5? They're doing a Phase 5?
I mean, that's what it says here.
But where's like the big end cap film? Like where's like
Yeah.
obviously not Avengers, but like they usually do like a big.
I'm trying to find that, Tevya. But
see, this is like they're not doing like this big event like you usually do in a big event film at the end of each phase, or like sometimes they'll have like one or two films afterwards.
Right.
But like
I found it. All right, so we're talking about that right now, Tevya. So here's a list. So I'm gonna outline all the new DC animated films coming out. You ready? Justice League War World. Mongol's gonna fight the Justice League. Yeah, and it's gonna be, hopefully, if what I'm taking is true, this is gonna be in the new continuity. So we're gonna have the actual the new Justice League with like Superman, Batman, the Flash, Green Arrow, John Stewart, and Hawkgirl, Mongol. If that's what they're referring to by War World.
Okay. I mean, it probably is because there's only one War World, so. Legion
of Superheroes.
Ooh.
That's actually a good one because they had a sort of an animated show, but it's been a part of DC that I think should get more attention, even though it's being written. Apparently, Bendis is heavily involved in the movie.
I wish Jeff Johns would be involved because like Jeff Johns has done some Legion stuff. It's been really good. Legion is like those characters that like kind of exist on the periphery of the media because like they popped up in Smallville. They're in Young Justice. It's like the Legion has showed up all so many different places, but they're the eternal cameos. Whereas like they have such a rich backstory. Like I would kind of compare them to the Inhumans, to where they've always kind of existed on the periphery, where they have their big fan base and like they have this rich tapestry of story.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, so I'm talking about Tavia, the Legion movie, because of course Bendis posted on Instagram that he was working on a Legion movie. So that's what I'm referring to. So the next movie we have right here is Batman, the Doom That Came to Gotham. Actually, Cole, here's the interesting part here. So Snyder himself is going to be voicing himself in the Teen Titans Go episode. Now, as minor as that may sound, at least they're talking. At least this shows that he's in communication with Warner Brothers. Is there a donation button? No, there's not yet because my channel isn't monetized. I'm not at the watch time and subscriber count, but we're growing. We're growing.
So if you want to donate him money, sub to this channel, like it, watch the whole thing, and then get everyone you've ever known to do the same.
Just get me to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, and we're good to go. It's not that big of a deal, and I appreciate you asking. So you got Batman, the Doom That Came to Gotham. Next we've got this one I'm indifferent on. Ruby Justice League. By Ruby, I mean the anime show made by Rooster Teeth.
Yeah, I know they did a comic about it. Like, oh my god, I wish you know what I wish they do?
What?
A Power Rangers Justice League animated movie.
Oh hell yes!
No. They did the comic book series, and it was actually pretty decent. Like that comic book series is actually kind of good. I would love it if they did an animated movie and they brought back the original Rangers.
Yeah, but you know what I've always said I wanted? Why can't they do a Power Rangers movie that's Shattered Grid? What if that's what Netflix is doing with their more mature Power Rangers thing they're developing? Dude, because Shattered Grid is like a badass Power Ranger storyline that's very mature, and I think that they could do really well with that.
I'm just give me a second.
Okay. Nick from Phoenix Press. Let's see what he's got. No, I know they had like a live action trailer for the comic. I'm saying an actual movie, full length movie.
So you've seen this.
The world needs us.
I've heard of that. Yeah, I haven't seen the whole thing.
Take the world from me.
This is official, but it's like for the comic series.
But still, why can't DC do like live action badass trailers like this for their comics?
Silver, black, pink, blue.
Whatever
Space Rangers.
we have to do it together.
Power down.
Oh, it's Mega Force.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's SPD, my boys. Actually, I'm more of a Dino Thunder guy myself.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Particularly the soundtrack is like, oh yes.
Ron Wasserman did it.
Mm-hmm.
For so long.
My lord,
Also,
the generals are ready.
look at the guy playing Draken.
Yes.
Now, it's my friendship with all of you. I don't ever want that to change.
It won't, Tommy. You'll
I'll
always
look that up.
be one of us.
And it's time to set things right.
His acting's actually pretty good.
We will invade their worlds. We will tear down everything that might protect them. And then, when it's too late, when they're powerless
Costumes are pretty
and
good,
alone,
honestly.
they will realize the truth. They could have been gods.
All right. So Tevi, I found your answer. It is written by Bendis.
So as far as the Ruby thing, I'm actually kind of a bit of a former Ruby fan. I still kind of have some love for it. I know they're doing that anime. I need to check out Ice Queendom. But like Rooster Teeth itself, they're
They're falling
But-
apart there.
yeah. I'm just waiting for them to fall apart, and then Warner Brothers scoops up the Ruby property, and but yeah, it's.
Yeah, I watch like I have a buddy, and he was a big Ruby fan, and he tried forever to get me to watch it. So when I finally watched it, we watched in like 3 days, seasons 1 through like 3, and then I watched like seasons 4, 5, and 6, and then I kind of started to 7 and 8, but I just lost interest. It got
Yeah, the
progressively
problem is after Monty Day, who
Yeah.
was like the spearhead of the show, because like he died after season 2, after season 2, but he actually worked on season 3 a little bit.
Mhm.
So like season 3 kind of feels at least somewhat like him. But after season 4, they kind of went in this whole different direction. The thing that kind of got me out of it is like it was like this endless goal. It's like we need to do this, we need to do that, and it just the goal just kept. It's like you're chasing a bone, but like the bone is like always a mile further. That after
By the
every
way-
progress you make, it just keeps getting further away, and it got tiring, honestly.
So one thing I learned is that I was watching a documentary on the downfall of Rooster Teeth because I'm a sadist and I like to watch that.
You
And
probably watched the same video.
when they talked about Montium, I didn't know he did the animation for that Halo short that was Halo and Metroid.
Hey Lloyd.
I did not know he did Haloid. I was like, wait, what? That's him?
So I could pull it up, but they'll probably get you a copyright strike.
Do not. But
Because
the
that
point
actually-
is,
They use the Matrix music in that.
yeah, I know. That's why it's kind of funny. I saw The Matrix for the first time after watching that animation, so I'm like, wait a second.
Have you ever heard of Dead Fantasy?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god, you've never heard of Dead Fantasy?
Mm-mm.
It's another thing that Monty did. It's a combination of two things.
It's not going to get me. It's not going to give me issues, is it?
No, I turned off the audio.
Oh, it's a game, or is it an animation?
No, it's an animation. So it's a combination of two franchises. Obviously, you get the. I turned off the music, so it's fine.
Kingdom Hearts.
It's a combination of Dead or Alive and Final Fantasy.
Okay, I see.
And it's the women of both.
Okay. Oh boy!
And Monty did all of this.
Wow. All right.
Rest in peace, Monty.
Rest in peace.
Well-
That dude was.
Like, look at how good that the fight scenes are. Like, seriously.
Hang on. So Cole says if solo big movies were a no with Zach, if he returned, but they offered him a series with a budget that shows as shows like Green Arrow to do whatever they wanted each episode, would you take it in his shoes? Well, see, here's the thing, Cole, is that what I think what would happen is that they would just say, okay, so here's HBO Max. Just make a mini series for HBO Max that's your Justice League thing, and then just do your storyline. Because here's the thing, though, and I actually heard a good. First, I want to read this. Rooster Teeth died the moment they became part of a company instead of an indie darling. Sometime around 2014 or so was the last year. Yeah, exactly. So, Cole, going back to what you were talking about beforehand, and by the way, this action's so badass. What they would do is give him an HBO Max series for many reasons. Number one is that, first off, a lot of like a significant amount of people joined HBO Max because the Snyder Cut was coming out. Now, yes, there's plenty of content to keep people on there, but like a lot of people but you still have to satisfy that one customer base that got it because they were curious about the Snyder Cut. Also, when you think about it, Snyder is actually ideally made for an HBO Max miniseries, and they can make it like high quality, but make it HBO Max. I don't think they would do like a CW Green Arrow style one, because that's not what that didn't work. But what they would
it worked until it didn't, is what I'm saying.
It worked until it didn't. Plus, with Green Arrow, I still want Young Justice season 5. We all do, Tavia. But what they would when you think about it, Snyder is actually ideally the ideal director for a miniseries like that, because, for one, when it's a miniseries, it's easier to justify a movie having a really long runtime, like because you don't have to watch it in one sitting. And what he could do is he could release it in episodes, weekly episodes, that way you get people talking about HBO Max and coming to HBO Max regularly. And then at the end of each season, if you will, let's make each movie's a season. So at the end of each season, he can release it all as one movie, just as like for like all the people that want to watch all 4 to 5 hours of Justice League, which I totally would.
Also, there's also a side benefit to this, to where it actually gives a separation between the movies. Can still do whatever they want with the movies, and you can still have actors, appear between the movies, and you can just say it's like a separate universe, or it's adjacent, or whatever, Yeah. Like the thing is, doing HBO Max is like, let's be honest, Snyder works better in longer form content anyways.
Oh, yes.
So it's like you say a Snyder, like, hey, Snyder, you want to direct an 8-hour movie? Hell yeah. Like, Snyder can do an 8-hour movie. Like, he did a 4-hour movie, and it was great.
Yeah. And once again, Nick is 100% right that if they did, if they gave him a miniseries, it'd be the ideal situation, because he wouldn't have to cut anything out.
Basically, he just kind of gets his own kind of pocket of the multiverse that's on HBO Max. It kind of plays kind of similar to what they're doing with Netflix.
And actually, what's funny,
Marvel shows.
That's what when they released the Snyder Cut, that's what the main, the good Snyder fans. Okay, so for the purpose of this live stream, when I refer to the SnyderVerse fandom, I'm going to refer to the good people like me, not the crazy people. So anyway,
so you're talking about most of the Snyder Cut fandom.
Most of the Snyder Cut fandom, not
the very toxic minority.
Yeah, what we thought was gonna happen is that they were gonna keep the movie release. Because a big misconception of the SnyderVerse fandom was, we wanted all other DC movies canceled and for Snyder to be put in charge of the DC universe. That's not necessarily what we wanted. What we wanted is for him to be able to.
Mind if that happened, but like,
there are certain ways that I don't necessarily that I prefer him to be in his own pocket world and not have control of the DC universe, because there was something.
My thing is, it's all good to want the restore SnyderVerse, but like, we still got to live in reality,
Yeah.
And things gonna happen. Some time has passed, and you got to think like, okay, what's a realistic, plausible solution that would work?
And it's HBO Max.
That's kind of what. Yeah, exactly.
And again, when they do HBO Max, they don't have to worry about him interfering with like the movie thing. You just tell people HBO Max is in an alternate timeline. It's not canon to the movie thing. We're just allowing it to come out to bring people to HBO Max. So that's where I could see. And going back to what I was saying, the rest of us, we thought that for the that they were going to just allow him to like release the other two movies on HBO Max. In other words, give Snyder HBO Max and keep the theatrical slate the same, because there were a fair amount of people that were excited for the other DC projects until it seemed like we had to choose between the two. And plus, it's just it's more content to consume. It's more DC content, so I don't get what the problem is.
It's a win-win scenario, you know. Like honestly, I think doing HBO Max route, like have Batfleck do, you know, get a Batman HBO Max series.
So Tevia, that's another thing that makes me even more think that it's going to happen eventually. We're doing this in slow steps, because the very fact that Snyder has positive enough relations with Warner Brothers now with the new regime that he's appearing in a Warner Brothers project and voicing himself, and you have to assume it's going to be positive and not like blasting him, because why would he show up in a project that's going to completely bury him?
I think at the very least it's going to be some good-natured like poke fuck it. Okay,
no, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But
I'm poking fun at him where he's in on the joke instead of being the butt of it.
Yeah, but the very idea that they're talking and they're actually going to be working together is a positive first step. I'll take that. Now, it shows that they're in communication because they're in communication. Because here's the thing, though. Even if let's say Zaslav wants to restore the SnyderVerse, he can't do it yet until Zack fulfills his obligation to Netflix. Because remember, he has an exclusive, I think, 2-year deal with Netflix. So he has to get done with that first, and then he can come back and do DC films.
See, there's some other complications for SnyderVerse on film. And 2 words, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, because we already have a Batman.
Because Robert Pattinson did that Batman, and it was actually pretty successful. So that's going to get a sequel. Joker is getting a sequel. So I don't really see Warner Brothers having 2 Batmans actually on film. Like, I mean, it's one thing to have Batfleck make a cameo in Shazam. That's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying Shazam, or Flash.
Shazam.
But to have 2 full-on movies, even if they're in separate years, that would cause confusion. That being said, if you had Batfleck on HBO Max and then Patterson on the films, that's perfectly fine, because people can make the distinction, you know, like that. Oh, okay, Batfleck is doing a streaming thing. It's full-on SnyderVerse. Like, it's separate. There's kind of a separation between the two, and like audiences are a lot more savvy now than they ever have been. But even then, I still feel like having 2 Batman movies, even if they don't come out in the same year, would be confusing. It would be confusing.
So that's why, again, we've always recommended just give us the HBO Max stuff. It's fine.
And like you said, it's more content for HBO Max. It's
now,
good,
what they could do when the movies are released on HBO Max, in other words, when JL 2 and 3 are released, or when like the Ben Affleck Batman series is released, they could do like a special event at certain movie theaters. You go there and they binge the entire series. They could do that, because I guarantee you people would go to that. But for actually releasing it like first time regularly, just do it HBO Max. That way everyone is happy, because guess what? That way, like we said earlier, Snyder does not have to worry about cutting anything out, because it's
an
a
8-hour Justice League movie. When?
Yeah, exactly. It would be a series, but and then he could combine it into a movie. But my point is,
honestly, at that point, 14-hour Justice League series. Like, seriously.
Well, technically, you can line it up, because if you took, let's say each movie is a season. So we have season 1 is Justice League 2, and season 2 is Justice League 3. You could have like 16 episodes of Justice League, about an hour each, so 16-hour Justice League movie. Yes, bring it on. So that's how I think that we could have a good marriage between the two. And that way, here's the thing. You make both fan bases of DC happy. We Snyder fans get to watch more of Justice League, and it doesn't interfere with the non-Snyder stuff. It's the ideal situation, so we can at least get what we want. Everyone is happy and gets what they want.
And then, like, and it's like they can kind of draw this line in the sand, where it's like, you know, in the movies where you have like Jason Momoa show up, it's like it's kind of like Schroeder's continuity, where it's like where the Snyder Cut both did and didn't happen, where they have the luxury at that point of saying, yeah, it's like it happened, but like we're not gonna like go into it a lot. Both sides win, like what Treya said. But
And
on HBO Max, you go full on. This is SnyderVerse, like,
and what they could even do for like a really badass like Avengers Endgame style movie, they could do a Crisis movie and have the two worlds meet.
Oh my God! Imagine Batfleck, Patterson, and Keaton.
That would be so badass. And then Bale shows up.
Oh, even better. You get George Clooney to show up. Maybe
And then all of a sudden, the portal opens and you hear "Save me!" And then Tom Welling walks through.
Oh my God! Like, just imagine like a big budget Crisis on Infinite Earth miniseries where you have like everyone.
Dude, yes.
Where you have like Justin Hartley walking side by side with Stephen Amell, and they're both in their Green Arrow gear.
And then Justin Hartley also was in the Aquaman gear with Jason Momoa because he also played
No. You do a green screen, okay? So it's like it's like you two separate portals. You get the Green Arrows, and then you get the Aquamans come in, and it's Jason Momoa, Justin Hartley, and then the guy who played Hawk in Titans because he was also Aquaman. Michael Richardson, because he was Aquaman in Smallville as well. So you get three of those.
Yeah,
and then like Hawk walks in with Dove. It's just like.
And Cole, if you're still in here, there's one thing that I wanted to bring up. That's partly why the SnyderVerse community got so upset when Warner Brothers said, like, okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to completely ignore Snyder stuff. Because
wait, sorry, I got to do this. Like, okay, so imagine you have Chris O'Donnell walking side by side with both the guy who played Jason Todd in Titans as well as Nightwing.
Mm-hmm. That would be great.
and oh my god! Sorry, I'm just.
So anyway, anyway, that Cole, if you're still in here, that's partly why the SnyderVerse community got so upset when Warner Brothers decided to not go in this direction, because we were like, wait a second, you could still do these movies and not interfere with your movie slate. Just put it on HBO Max. There you go. You wouldn't have to cancel any movies. In other words, you had a viable option and you completely ignored it. That's a major reason why the community got so upset with that. But anyway, trying to keep this as positive as possible. By the way, thank you, Nick. That was super badass.
It's still got some ways to go. I mean,
I
think we're just letting it play just for the visual.
Yeah. So, is there anything that anything else you want to address on Comic-Con? Oh, by the way, so first off, I know Jim Lee said we're not going to continue the SnyderVerse, or like we have no plans as of now to continue that material.
And that may or may not be true. Or it may or may not be. It may or not be true now. Because
if it's true,
one thing we've learned when it comes to WB is that what is fact now is not necessarily fact in the future.
Yeah, and plus remember,
because at one point it was fact that the Snyder Cut didn't exist, and then at one point, I'm doing a bit here. Yeah, it was fact that a cut of it exists, but it would be too costly, and then it became a fact that it was coming to HBO Max. So facts change in WB land.
And yeah, exactly. And also remember, they said they didn't have any plans to release the Snyder Cut on HBO Max. So, and don't say COVID, because guess what? The Snyder Cut was authorized pre-COVID. You have to look at the timeline. It was authorized November 2019 before anyone even thought of locking down. So there you go. So anyway, do you have anything else you want to talk about with Comic-Con, or do you want to move on to our main topic tonight?
Well, it's an hour and we're just getting to the main topic.
Yeah, so we're probably going to go for like a half hour more, or half hour to an hour more, I figure. So our main topic is, let's say that they decide to restore the SnyderVerse. So Nick and I were having a conversation, and we were talking about, we think that if it were restored, it could compete with like the current MCU and the current Star Wars climate, because a lot of people are tired of Star Wars and are tired of the MCU movies being the same thing over and over and over again. So we're going to talk about how the SnyderVerse could compete with the MCU now. And chief among it, you don't have to watch 30 movies to know what's going on. You just have to watch like, I don't know, 6 or 7 movies and you're done.
Yeah.
You just have to watch up to Justice League, and by Justice League I mean the Snyder Cut, and you're good.
Yeah, it's funny how the same problems just keep happening when it comes to comics, when it comes to continuity.
Yeah, exactly. And also, it's different. And that's the thing, is that people are starting to wake up, and I was talking to Nerdman about this last night. People are starting to wake up that these MCU movies are the same thing over and over and over again. The same comedic joke fest, and it's just getting annoying at this point. So when you have this universe like the SnyderVerse that is legit, like, that is different from the MCU, and that's not all jokes. They do have some comedic moments in the SnyderVerse, which I love, but they do them in such a way where it doesn't get overwhelming, unlike the MCU.
Yeah, like that's kind of a big criticism for the MCU kind of going around where it's like the joke fest. Like you kind of saw that with Thor: Love and Thunder, where people were really
Yeah, it did.
Were really ragging on like the subject matter would have been so good if you weren't trying to tell a joke every 0.5 seconds.
Oh yeah, 100%. The potential was there, and yeah, there were some movies, Tevia, that were a little more serious, but for the most part, when you compare the ratio of joke movies to non-joke movies, it's overwhelmingly on the joke side.
I mean, Infinity War Endgame would not have worked if it wasn't for the Russo brothers. Like they like. I trust them, like the way they handle Marvel properties. I like how they handle it. Like they prove themselves, like Captain America, Civil War, then all that other stuff. But like, yeah.
And yes, Tevia, again, there are still movies that have those jokey moments, like that have those serious moments. But for the most part, the MCU has these are basically all comedies at this point.
Yeah, and it's like go back to Thor 1 and like that scene where Thor is getting stripped of his power. That's some pretty heavy stuff.
And there's still some jokey parts where the Warriors 3 show up in the town. They go, "Okay, I got Xena and Jackie Chan and some other guys." But yeah, but
see, the point of comedy in an action movie is comedic relief. It's to relieve the tension, because no one likes the general audience doesn't like constant grim dark, like favorite jokes in Thor. It's like I need a horse. It's like,
well, give me the one that's
dogs, and then give me one that's bigger enough to ride. It's like, okay,
another
funny. That one too, because like those are jokes born out of the story. Because he's ignorant and he's like not, whatever.
Or it's like in Wonder Woman when she's going along when she first arrives in man's world. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness have want to massacre people. Yeah, and once again, that movie was different. That's why it was one of the MCU movies that I enjoyed more.
It was still rather jokey, but less so than others. I think a lot of that has to do with like Doctor Strange was done by Sam Raimi, and you notice how this was the first Marvel film in a long time to be marketed by the directors.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it comes to other Marvel films, you never hear about the directors. Like the Russo brothers, they pushed those forward, but ever since those movies, you haven't heard anything about, like maybe like, oh, they'll mention John Watts like once,
mm-hmm.
Because he's the guy who did the Home trilogy. Wait, John Watts did the Amazing stuff. Sorry. Okay,
he did he did the third movie of the MCU Spider-Man.
Yeah, because I think John Watts did the Amazing films.
Okay.
Okay, he did do No Way Home. So.
Yeah, but so our point is that yes, there are some MCU movies that are legit like serious films, like Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. But for the most part, they're all like ridiculous joke fest. He technically did the Homecoming trilogy. Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked that up. Yeah, you're right.
But my point is that the whole point of this exercise is that you have these movies that people are starting to wake up to, that they're not all good, because now people are starting to, it's bad when there are articles in news journals saying it's okay to hate the MCU now.
Yeah, that's kind of a signal, really.
That's a signal. So what that indicates to me is that then it's like, okay, so there's an alternative now. The SnyderVerse, which it already features popular characters like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the popular versions of those characters. Because let's not forget, give Snyder at least this credit: he cast Jason Momoa as Aquaman. They would never cast. They would never cast. If Warner Brothers were in charge of the casting, Jason Momoa would not be Aquaman.
No, and then Aquaman would still be the butt of every joke.
And now Aquaman's this badass. Rightfully so, because I've always thought he was pretty cool.
What's funny is they've been trying to make Aquaman badass for like 30 years, and like all of them have been like so try-hardy, but then like Jason Momoa comes in, it's like, hey, and it's like, oh, we love Aquaman now.
My man.
It's
yes,
crazy.
Exactly. So, so you already have the very popular versions of those characters. So really at this point, and here's the other key part: Marvel just replaced all of their signature MCU characters with characters that ultimately people don't care about.
Like they showed a picture of like the upcoming Avengers, given all the characters, and I'm like, none of these are like they're interesting side characters, but like none of them are good leading characters.
It seems like the movies are reverting back to that age where like the teams like were made up of like the worst characters.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you're not good enough to solo your own book. Let's put you on a team.
Yeah, exactly. So really at this point, so that's why I say there's really no reason not to, because then you can go, okay, so we have this alternative. And at least everyone likes Zack Snyder's movies in terms of visually, and we could just tell people this is a follow-up to the Justice League movie that you all liked, because pretty much everyone has a high opinion of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, like even the worst the critics are like, okay, yeah, like this is better.
Exactly. So you already have that positive press. Let's face it, Snyder's movies also inspire. Yeah, exactly. That's my main point, Tevi, is that Marvel killed off all their main characters at the end that built the MCU. DC still has them.
Well, to be fair, it might not have been Marvel's choice, because like, because you got to realize, Robert Downey Jr., they've been contracting him for movies ever since Iron Man 3. Like, ever since Iron Man 3, they've been contracting him for each individual movie. So,
but they could have brought in another actor and just recast Iron Man. Like, say the multiverse opens and another Iron Man showed up.
Or just cast another actor and just pretend it's him.
Yeah, exactly. It's in other words, the character is dead. That's really astounding.
Though, to be fair, Iron Man went out like a boss.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Tevye says. I will say that. Yes, 100%. They did it well. It's just what they're doing now is like...
Here's where the problem is. Such a good capstone to the MCU. Like, literally, it was started with, I am Iron Man. And it was ended with, and I am Iron Man.
That's why what they should have done is ended the MCU at that. Here's the ending of our storyline. And then they just started new continuity with the next movie.
Like, if you just watch the Infinity Saga, it's actually pretty good. Like, a good series of movies, it's actually pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, that should have been the MCU, and then they move on to a new continuity.
Though I will say, Spider-Man: Far From Home as an epilogue is actually not a bad addition. I would kind of
yes. End it with Spider-Man: No Way Home, and you're good.
Far From Home.
Oh yeah. No, I think the last Spider-Man movie is a better capstone.
Well, I'm just saying as a capstone to the MCU, because a lot of the Iron Man stuff was ended with Far From Home. Because, like, if you notice, there's really not much. Like, No Way Home is a Spider-Man movie. Like it's the first Spider-Man movie we got.
Oh,
This trilogy.
and apparently this new phase, this new movie is going to be called the Multiverse Saga. So that means you could be getting
true.
Secret Wars.
I mean, yeah, they did that too. So
Yeah,
I honestly, I just don't really care too much. Like if it's like a character that I care about, cool. I'm not watching Echo, by the way. Like I know they said that Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are going to appear, but like they're just doing that to get you to watch Echo, and I'm not falling for that bait. I'm sorry.
I'll try it out to see if it's any good, but I'm not really excited for it.
I saw Hawkeye, and she was okay as a character in Hawkeye, but like there's nothing there that would make me want to watch a full series from her.
Yeah, they're giving too many like side characters their own things, but these are projects that these are characters that no one's ever heard of.
Because to me, Echo is like a cheap Daredevil gimmick. Like, oh, instead of being blind, he's deaf. I'm original.
Yeah, but so yeah, that's really the main point there. So that's the MCU. Now with Star Wars, since there's a lot of negativity surrounding the Star Wars properties, again, DC can take advantage of that and say, we have the SnyderVerse.
I'm watching Mando season 3. I'm just saying that.
Oh yeah, I'm watching Mando season 3.
I saw the leak trailer, and yep, it's got me. I think they might have. Okay, as far as Daredevil getting a new show, if they do a season 4 and they finally pay off the bullseye thing and actually put him in the costume, cool. I don't think they're gonna do that. Them doing Born Again, which literally they did in season 3, doesn't really inspire much confidence. You know, like you can make any excuse you want. If this is supposed to be a continuation of Charlie Cox, even if you don't call it season 4, they literally just did that storyline, you know, and it's just kind of stupid. And I don't really buy like the whole like, oh, they just chose the name. Born Again is literally one of the most iconic Daredevil storylines. So you know, it's they should have known it or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Which the Born Again storyline was done in season 3 of Daredevil. You know, where he's injured, he's in the nunnery. You got the nun there that's taking care of him that happens to be his mother. They even put him in the black suit for season 3. So they did the Born Again storyline in season 3. And to do it again, it's just stupid. You know, because and it's like, oh, they chose the name. There's so many names they could have chosen, but they chose to evoke the name of one of his most iconic storylines.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our thoughts on it. I'm still gonna try it out because I loved the Daredevil series.
I'll wait for the trailer to make my final call.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of Star Wars, yeah, Mandalorian is really the only thing right now that's holding Star Wars up. If you notice that, because Obi-Wan didn't have the effect that they thought it would.
I mean, the usual man babies, you know, they jizz all over it, but that's about it. But I think they showed a trailer for Acolyte, but I'm deliberately boycotting that because that's a Kathleen Kennedy project.
I mean, if they canonize Revan, that'd be nice, but they'll probably make him like very emasculated and all that.
Oh, they'll probably make Bastila like the savior of the universe for some stupid reason.
Yeah, exactly. I personally liked Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan had some good moments, but overall, it wasn't like my favorite Star Wars show.
The show felt very tired. Like it seems like everyone was just tired during the whole thing, and like there was some really stupid stuff. They basically broke canon in a million pieces. So,
but I will say though, another thing I am excited for: Bad Batch season 2.
I mean, that's a Filoni property, so that should be fine. I never really got into Bad Batch, but you know,
Dude, if you're a fan of Clone Wars, you should.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, if it's done by Filoni, then it probably should at least be decent.
And plus, Commander Cody's going to be in this season, which I'm excited to see how he reacted to Order 66.
That's cool. Sorry. Book of Boba Fett is got an uphill battle because that show was so boring.
So divisive. Yes, Tevia, I am too for Bad Batch. But yeah, the Book of Boba Fett was disappointing in a lot of ways because there wasn't a lot of action. And even Tamora Morrison goes, I want to go back to that badass Boba Fett moment. Oh,
Yeah.
the Emperor voiced by the original actor. Yes. They're playing audio from like episode 3 and like the latter seasons of Clone Wars and the first season of Bad Batch. That was great.
Yeah, always a good thing to have Ian McDermott, unless somehow he returns.
Who the hell was writing that movie? Who the hell approved that dialogue to say somehow Palpatine returned? What?
Like there's. I remember seeing this meme where it's like, remember, if you ever think you're a bad writer, remember somebody got paid to write this.
Somebody got paid to write that dialogue. Exactly.
So remember, it can always, if you think you're a bad writer, remember you're not the one who wrote the line. Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love what they just said. Like, he somehow returned. He's returning in season 2. Like,
yeah, exactly.
got me there.
But so, in other words, there's a lot of like space for Warner Brothers to capitalize on the on the, I guess, misfortunes of other properties, if that makes sense. Because here's the thing also. What would generate more internet discussion than if they said we're gonna let Snyder come back and make the rest of his 2 movies?
A Batfleck HBO Max series.
Yes, exactly. If they say we're gonna bring back the SnyderVerse on HBO Max, can you imagine the internet reaction to that?
I can tell you the 2 camps. Ah, pitchforks.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's gonna turn into. Twitter is going to be a very fun day when that happens. And yes, I said when. I still think it's going to happen.
Honk, honk.
Yeah. So, on that note, you think that's a good place to leave it, Nick?
I would think so.
All right. So, on that note, we're going to call it a night here. Hope you guys enjoyed this live stream and enjoyed interacting with us. We do this every Saturday at 8 p.m. where we talk about any significant news that happened during the week.
Same Batfleck time, same Batfleck network.
Exactly. So I'm Jared from Comics League. Oh, Twitter's going to be a riot, Tevia. Yes, it is going to be.
Let's start a riot. A riot.
So once again, I'm Jared from Comics League. That's Nick
from the Phoenix Press.
And we will see you next week. Stay heroic, everyone. Bye-bye.